Why don't we turn now to Professor Wall? If you would give us the history of this move and explain its significance from your point of view for the whole college.
All right, I can't speak when I'm sitting down. I know Sister Mary has the hook, so I'm going to speak quickly. First of all, I'm very pleased that the philosophy major was reintroduced to the college. And it certainly has symbolic value. I mean, philosophy and theology and religious studies have been at the heart of Catholic education forever, and so it's good that they were reintroduced. It also has other than symbolic value, and I'll talk to you about that in a second. I'm also pleased that I had a chance to reflect on the role of the philosophy major at a Catholic college. We've been a service department for so long, we haven't had to do that. So, although really it's been quite annoying to reflect on the role of philosophy in a Catholic college, I found myself really annoyed today. So, but, okay, what does he mean by that? I don't have the answer to that question. I mean, I have lots of answers, but it's a work in progress. So hopefully you guys will help me and the rest of us figure that out today. One thing I know is that the timing is good, because as we get more students and students who are better prepared academically, they get more interested in theoretical subjects. So we have now about 10 individualized majors who will become formally philosophy majors when this kicks in next semester. So in many respects, the philosophy major was reintroduced from the grassroots level. There were a lot of students who were interested in it, and we responded to that. The question today for me is, what is the role of the philosophy major in a Catholic liberal arts college? And I wish you asked me this question about 2,500 years ago, because it was really easy to answer then. If you were in Plato's Academy or the Lyceum of Aristotle, you would have been a philosophy major. There weren't any other majors. I mean, there was practical knowledge and there's theoretical knowledge, and all theoretical knowledge were branches on the tree of philosophy. If you asked me this question in 13th century Europe, if we were at the University of Paris, Professor Leclerc and I would have agreement about that too. We would double major. We'd be philosophy majors or theology majors. That's all there were. But a funny thing happened between then and now, and we call it the birth of science. And you scientists ruined it for us because you stole all our subject matter. I mean, when you want to know what the world of nature is like these days, you don't ask a philosopher, you ask a contemporary physicist. When you want to know what the psyche is like, well, you talk to a psychologist, you know? And even human subjectivity, which is the heart and soul of European philosophy, the English department thinks they've got a speed on that as well. So we're left with a couple of things. One is logic, and the other is ethics. But of course, the math department thinks they do logic as well as we do, and everybody does ethics. And so, well, we've got nothing, we've got no subject matter. So how am I going to say what the role of philosophy is in the Catholic college today? What do? We've gone full circle. Well, I have a proposal, and here's my proposal. And I think I'm right about this, and I'm actually serious about this, even though you'll fall on the floor laughing. I think every student at Emmanuel College should be a philosophy major. I'm prepared to argue that, too. Some exceptions, perhaps. Some may want to double major. But I think that, in fact, that's my proposal right now, and I have some reasons for that. And some of them have to do with Cardinal Newman's suggestions. And do I have the hook yet? Not yet, okay.
You need to get yourself out of
this, yeah. One of my roles in life is to cause trouble like Socrates, you know. But don't give me the hemlock after. The business of philosophy really is defined, I think, in the phrase, the philosophy of something. And the philosophy of something, of biology, of physics, of art, of knowledge, of reality, of law, and so on, really is a reflection on the basic concepts, the basic assumptions, and the methodology of various sciences. So I think philosophy then, in some respects, is not a discipline among other disciplines. So we really don't need a subject matter of our own. What I think philosophy is a meta-discipline. I think we talk about some of the facts that you scientists discover, and we talk about things like beauty that you artists produce, and we talk about the role of numbers and whether they really exist that you mathematicians discuss. So I think because of that, it's well positioned to play a role in the liberal arts college. And I'm going to say two things about Newman, and then maybe we'll save this for the discussion period. And this is my three things about Newman, and this is my evidence for why all students at Emmanuel should be philosophy majors. First of all, first thing has to do with the point of college education. And Newman says it this way, that the point is the cultivation of the philosophical mind. I like him. What he means by that is, first of all, it's not the job of college education is not narrowly professional training. He abhors that, and so do I. The job of whether students go to college for this or not, I think our job is not to get them jobs. And the utilitarian value of an education should not be what is foremost in that education. And sometimes we really get annoyed when it seems to be the case, but it really isn't here, because everything's in the context of a liberal arts education. So what does he mean by the cultivation of habits of the mind? I think philosophical habits of the mind, I think he means by that, number one, personal growth, number two, a general knowledge of all areas, of all disciplines, and thirdly, and most importantly, I think, are thinking skills. Skills of being able to analyze and synthesize and question fundamental issues, and to be able to present your ideas in clear ways, in speaking and in writing. And I think that is the real goal of an undergraduate education. You say, well, yeah, but, you know, philosophy majors, there aren't that many jobs in the New York Times help wanted ads. Well, here's the point, and I'll talk about the utility of a philosophy major. I'm plugging philosophy. I don't get a chance to do it that much, so I'm going to plug it now. Did you know that philosophy majors at mid-career make more money than all but two majors at this college, math and accounting? How can, I mean, maybe a liberal arts education has utility after all in this day and age when we're going to change careers 7 times, and we want people who can have creative ideas and express them well. But you know the whole story, and I won't go through it because the hook is coming out, right? Yeah. And the second area has to do with the fragmentation of knowledge these days. And I think philosophy is well positioned to be able to talk about issues that are discussed in lots of areas and see the connections between them. And the third has to do with faith and reason, but I'll let Tom talk about that, and we'll save it for the question period. Thank you so much.
Father Claire.
Well, we're really excited that the major in Theology and Religious Studies has been approved and is being reinstated. And I think that's an important dimension of this discussion, is that we're not introducing a new major, but we're reintroducing a major. The college, as part of its core identity as a Catholic institution, had a theology or religious studies major all the way up until 1995. But those of you who have a long memory know that the college fell on hard times, and there weren't enough students or enough faculty to sustain a major. And so the department willingly suspended it until we should build up the faculty both in breadth and depth to offer a credible major. So what we're doing now is reclaiming our heritage. In the biggest scope, the heritage of Catholic education from its inception at the University of Paris in the 1100s had as its purpose the teaching of philosophy and theology. That's why the university system came into place. And so as we reclaim that here, both in philosophy and theology, we're really connecting to the foundations of Catholic higher education. In reintroducing the major, we are highlighting what is distinctive about the Catholic intellectual tradition. And part of that distinction is, as John Henry Newman, Pope John Paul, and Sister Janet, what an illustrious trinity that is, focused on, which is the dialogue of faith and reason. And we have a conviction in the Catholic intellectual tradition that these are not opposed, that faith is reasonable, and reason has the ability to critique and to analyze and to ground religious faith. But faith has a role too, and that role is to direct reason to pursue those things that are intrinsically good and reveal the goodness of God the Creator. They're working together for one end. Faith and reason have the same goal, and that's the pursuit and appropriation of truth. So this is distinctively Catholic. The religious studies major, or theology major, asks those kinds of questions which move us beyond strictly an empirical way of thinking. The insistence on faith in the Catholic institution says that there are other ways of knowing than scientific knowing or empirical knowing. And the faith question compels us to ask stuff like, why are we here? Where are we going? Is there a purpose to life and love and death and pain and suffering? Is there an ultimate outcome? Is there purpose for the individual, for humanity, for the cosmos? These are big issues that are well addressed within the tradition of faith and reason. We're also excited to reestablish the major because it's one more way that we reinforce the mission of the liberal arts at this college. It's a discipline like other disciplines that fosters what we think is really fundamental, and that's the growth in critical thinking, the development of writing skills, and analysis. And these are purposes and outcomes that have a utility. That is to say, they're transferable and can be used in any environment, in any career. The ability to process knowledge, reflect on knowledge, organize it, and put it to use. That you do in any career. And these are the skills that we hope a liberal arts education fosters, and theology takes its rightful place within the liberal arts, accomplishing that goal. We also, just looking at the world, we see how religion is such a powerful force for good and for ill, that there are tremendous movements for peace and for justice that take their inspiration and their grounding in religious belief and conviction. And there's also religion that causes war and division and discrimination and oppression. Simply to be alive in this complex world and to deal with the social issues that confront us on a day-to-day basis requires some real depth of knowledge about what religions teach, how they express their beliefs in action. And to be knowledgeable about religion gives us the greater ability to have a deeper social analysis and the ability to process the world at our doorsteps. So I think for all of these and other kinds of reasons, the ability at this point in our history to reestablish a major in theology and religious studies is really timely and reclaims our heritage as a Catholic institution and as Emmanuel College specifically. So we're really excited to be able to offer this as a contribution to the college to refocus our identity and bring it to the fore. I do want to just say one word about we're changing the name of the department. We're moving away from religious studies and naming the department Theology and Religious Studies. And we just want to be able to distinguish what theology is and what religious studies are. Theology takes what we would call an internalist approach to study. It stands within a particular tradition to analyze and study. It examines theological systems as a whole, as a body of thought, and seeks to determine whether the individual beliefs are reasonable,